Welcome everybody to our March GSA Assembly meeting, the meeting where we are going to do our elections and talk about funding. So it's a really big meeting. We have a lot on our schedule and quite a few people are joining us virtually today, including one of our candidates, who will be speaking to us a little bit later. So now the attendance is open. If you can take a picture of the QR code on there or type in that gouncg.edu/attendance link. And again, as soon as you see that blue banner flash across the screen, or even if you make it to the event page, your attendance has been recorded. Love technology issues.
I'm so bad at this.
Okay, did everybody get a chance to scan the QR code? Right. And that link will stay live for 72 hours. So if you're still working on it, as long as you have the link typed into your phone, you can finish it later. Okay, so today we are going to be getting a quick welcome message from our president. We're going to talk about Graduate Student Appreciation Week, which is going to start before our next meeting. That's always that first full week of April. Then we're going to have a presentation from Claire about our spring funding, which opens tomorrow. So senators, make sure that you're sending out this information and updating your departments. And then we're going to have an executive board election overview, just go over the timeline, make sure everyone's still on the same page. Then we'll have candidate introductions. All of them will just give a quick introduction up to 3 minutes. And then afterwards, there will be time for questions. So hopefully there will be time for questions inside the meeting. If not, the candidates have been asked to stay until 6:10. So keeping in mind that these are your future leaders, please ask all the questions that you need to make a very good decision when you're voting later on. And that voting is going to open today at 6 p.m. and then it will close in 2 weeks from today. So we'll have 2 full weeks to make this decision. So now I'm going to turn it over to Nagla for a welcome.
Thank you, Betsy. Hello, where are the other students today? Why we feel lonely? How are you? It's good seeing you. Good to see the beautiful faces I know from before, like Ashley and Abby and Crystal and Crystal's mama. Welcome to the Graduate Student Association meeting. This meeting is very, very special because we will be hearing from great candidates. Those are our leaders for GSA. The team is amazing. I wish them all the best and we'll all be supporting them. Today I kept thinking and sharing with the e-board, I cannot leave the day without saying that I feel for Ukraine. I hope the best for them. Displacement and war is the worst thing that we can ever think of or experience. So as an e-board, and I don't want guys to talk on your behalf, we hope that this crisis will be over. We hope and we show solidarity with the people of Ukraine. So today I have to go through 2 important things with you. My mental health tip, because I love to embrace our mental health and taking care of ourselves. And I came across a mental health resource that the counseling center developed just yesterday. So I said, definitely I will share it with you. But the tip for mental health that I keep using in the class I'm teaching this semester is checking on the students. How many of you is teaching this semester? A lot, TAs, my goodness. I shared with you guys that one of the things that I intentionally do on the class plan, putting a question and saying, how are you feeling today? And I give 5, sometimes to 10 minutes for the students to talk. It helped me build a community in the class. And by this point of the semester, the students feel that they have somebody that is supporting them within the class community. So please, you all are kind, but you forget to show your kindness and care. If possible, please ask and check on your students how they are. The resource that I found called Together All. This is like a website where you go to sign in. What is interesting about this website, and you can see it on the counseling center website, that you can sign in, and you have 24/7 kind of mental health support. It is interesting, it has a lot of resources, different topics covered, and it is controlled by a counselor and clinicians and things like that, so there is supervision, a lot of things. I think it is a great initiative. I encourage you guys to go see it. It might be a good fit for you. But me, I like to talk to my counselor. I like to talk on the phone or see the counselor on Zoom. I love the human-to-human interaction. This is my way of getting mental health support. So I hope that this new resource will be good for you. The other important thing that we want to share with you, that the Uncg library is being renovated because we received a huge grant or huge fund. I don't remember how much of the money is. Is it 20 million, something like that, Lexi? Huge money to renovate the library. And I heard from them saying they want to make this library accessible for students with disabilities. So they will get rid of all the bookshelves that are very narrow, that you can't navigate if you are on a wheelchair. This is good, amazing. But what is happening that they will get rid of nearly 25% of the written documents and books in the library. And sometimes we need those. The faculty are signing a petition asking the university, please don't get rid of these books. We want to do the same. We students will use those books. So please, there is a link for you to go to the website and sign the petition if you want to encourage not getting rid of this. Yes, Abby.
Is there a solution for where to put the books so that the library can still be accessible?
I have no idea I have nothing, no information in regard to this app.
This
But
is
really
pretty
can
new
investigate.
information, so I think even this week, a lot more was supposed to be coming out, and we haven't been updated yet, so this is as much as we know, but yeah,
Thank
Jewel
you.
Parker is really in charge. She made the sign-up sheet here, and so if anybody has any questions, and I think Dr. Cuba is a big player in that game, so we'll send out more information when we have updates. Thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing, and an idea that came to mind is maybe each department could volunteer to take some of the books, like depending on the topics.
Crystal, the
or
person with
things of
amazing
the book.
ideas. You have to join this council of ideas. Amazing.
If you sign the petition, you can put your email in there, and then you would be given more information as they find out more information. So if you're interested in giving ideas and stuff, this is not a GSA thing, so please go through the petition.
And if I want to leave you with something today, I want to say it was such a pleasure for the e-board to work with you and to be here with you and to love you and to have a community with you. Hopefully we will continue being graduate students. I'm still here for 4 years or more as a student. And I also work here at Uncg, so you guys will not get rid of me. But the GSA will be successful with all of you. Please support the candidates, be there for them, come see them and work with them because they are phenomenal. They're amazing. I'm so excited about the coming GSA. I am excited to say bye-bye to this GSA, but not today, okay? Thank you, Lexi.
I have a question.
Yeah, we'll still be here in April. Oh, let me turn you up so everyone can hear you.
So we go.
Okay, go ahead. Try to ask again.
I have a question that you might not know the answer to, but I went to NC State for undergrad, and I remember when I was touring Hunt Library, they said they did the storage for a lot of the UNCG system. So I was wondering if maybe the books might be moved there and they would still be accessible through the interlibrary loan, because I think that might be a good compromise between making the library more accessible and still having access to those resources.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what the committee is going to be focused on, is trying to figure out where these things can go. I've heard if you've been to NC State's library, you see their beautiful robot that goes up and down and selects the books out for you. That saves a ton of space. So like that's another option. But yeah, if you have any of these ideas, please sign the petition if that's something that you're interested in doing, and then you can get your email added to that list and be part of that conversation.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions about that? Online people, we can hear you real good. So if you ever need to, just go ahead and unmute. All right. So moving on, I'm going to talk quickly about GSA coming up, Graduate Student Appreciation Week, and what our plans are, and then ask for some ideas from you all. So our plan this year is we are going to host, as graduate students, for our own Appreciation Week, 3 events, okay? So this is going to be 3 days of professional headshots. So I know this is really popular with everybody. We love the professional headshots. Photographer, of course, his name now is slipping my mind, but he is very good at what he does. So we're actually extending this time and doing 3 days instead of 2. Every semester we've been planning to do 2 days, and hopefully that will continue next year as well. The plan for this is 2 days are only going to be for graduating grad students. So these are the students that need professional headshots the most, arguably, since they're graduating and going on to other careers and need to have professional headshots for those applications. So 2 of the days are just going to be reserved from them. Right now, we're estimating about 90 students will be able to get a professional headshot. It might not seem like a lot, but this is a very expensive event that we host. So we're excited to be able to do it again this semester. Grab Grub with GSA will be held at some point that week as well. So that will be free hot meals given out to graduate students. We're hoping to just do a first come, first serve basis this time. So if you sign up and some people are not showing up, this time the food will be there and you can come and grab it if there's still something left over. So there'll be full hot meals. We'll have vegan options, meat options. So hopefully everybody will be able to enjoy that. We're hoping to partner that with a swag distribution. So that would look like a large EUC room on campus. One side of the room will have food, one side will have swag. It's like Christmas. You show up, you get a free meal, you get a bunch of swag, and then you go home. And now with the mask mandates leaving, that does allow us to actually host more food events on campus. There's a lot of restrictions with that, which is why we have to do prepackaged meals and why there isn't pizza or some other hot meal at these events every time. We do have snacks afterwards, so someone remind me we have snacks. And then we're gonna do our April 7th assembly meeting, of course. That is that week, that's that Thursday. And that will be our transition meeting. So all of the candidates that you meet today are going to be 50% in charge at that next meeting. So April is kind of, we train them a lot, passing off our information, building them up so they'll have a successful year. And then after that April, we are no longer on the board. So the plan outside of these 3 events for GSA is that I'm going to be inviting departments across campus to host events themselves. This just saves us from having to host all of them. So I have quite the list right now, including SOP, IPC, a lot of different departments across campus that will be invited to host these. If you, after the meeting, are like, I really want this place invited, come up and let me know, and we can add it to the list before you leave, or you can send me an email, either way is fine. But those invitations will be going out soon, and we can always invite people as we go, all the way up until April. So let me know if you have anybody else you'd like to add. All right, Claire. One of the very important things we're going to talk about today is our funding, and then afterwards we'll get into the election.
Awesome. Hi guys, how you doing? Good. All right. I like the thumbs up. There we go. All right. So as most of you hopefully know, tomorrow 5 p.m. opens the funding window. Okay, it's open for 2 weeks. So March 4th 5 p.m. to March 18th 5 p.m. The reason I did that is because that makes sense in my head. I'm sorry if that doesn't make sense to you, but 5 to 5 makes sense to me, all right? So there are 2 possible funds to apply for. Research Capstone Fund, which is still at $300. The first 40 students will get that. And then the Professional Development Fund, $500. The first 40 students will get that. The funds are technically allocated by money amount, like total money amount, okay? So with this being said, if the RCF does not reach its capped limit, I think the PDF might this semester. I've had a lot of communications with students, a lot of different committees that I've talked to. I've walked students through it. So all that extra money from the RCF will then feed into the PDF. Does that make sense? So if it gets capped at 40 students, it may end up expanding further beyond 40 students just based on availability of funds. So because of that, if you apply, I sadly will not be able to tell you, like, congratulations, you have this money until the end of the 2 weeks. All right, I'm going to keep track. I'm going to be looking at applications. I will reach out if you have questions. I'm available. I will say at 5 p.m. tomorrow, I'm not available. I am doing a program at 5 p.m. I work with kids, so I do a program at 5 p.m. At 7:30, I'll be on my email. So if you send me an email at 5 p.m., sorry, you might have to wait till 7:30, okay? But if you reach out before then, I'll be ready. So, awesome. And then only applications from represented departments will be accepted. So I'm probably preaching to the choir here because hopefully most senators are on. But if your department does not have a senator, you sadly cannot apply for GSA funding. There is a list of senators on the GSA website. Alex keeps up with it. So if you have senator-related questions, direct them towards Alex because I can't answer them. Okay, so professional development fund, just like last semester, we are having 2 applications for PDF. One is virtual. It literally says virtual in the name. If you want in-person conference funding, do not use this PDF. All right, that makes sense. Okay, so what you need to know, being a presenter is not required. So what you need a letter of support from a faculty advisor, just saying, hey, my student so-and-so is going to this conference. I think it's a great benefit, whatever, all right? Student 2, a student reimbursement form. It's found on the application, but it's also found on the GSA website if you want to go ahead and pre-plan for that. 3, a receipt of conference, an itemized list of costs, okay? So if you have not applied, if you have not yet gone to the conference or attended the conference, I just need your best look at what it's going to cost, okay? And then 4, proof of attendance. So conference at a glance, your schedule, maybe you got accepted to present, all those types of things are proof of attendance. Finally, if you are an international student, I know it's a pain in the butt, but this is what accounts payable needs, not what I'm trying to make you do. You need to do an NRA 1001, NRA 002, or I-551 form, all right? For international students, you've already probably processed all those things because the graduate school needs them, but this is a separate thing, so.
You have questions in chat. Is it 500 max per grad student?
Yes, it's 500 max per grad, oh, I should probably clarify that. 500 max per grad student, but also you can only apply for one of the PDFs, okay? So even though they're 2 separate applications, you can only apply for one of them. Does that make sense? All right, in-person conferences. This is the one where I think we're gonna get the most students, okay? You need to fill out the TRV1 form correctly, all right? It's found on the GSA website. I created a video. Within that, the biggest thing is that you wanna make sure you do it correctly, because if you don't do it correctly, you are not gonna get reimbursed. 2, you need a PDF email from your advisor or supervisor saying that they have pre-approved your travel and business purpose of attendance. If you have already gone to your conference, just see if your advisor will agree to saying, hey, I did agree to go to this conference, okay? If you already have attended it, all right? The reason for this is, once again, it's beyond my control. Written in the bylaws in an institution of like students in general, one of the things says you either have to present or you have to have a business reason for it, okay? So why I keep reiterating this business reason is because this is how you get funded. Doing this for you, hopefully y'all understand, all right? 3, letter of support from your faculty advisor. Once again, they might explicitly state what the business purpose you have for attending. They are saying, okay, I approve this person going to this conference. This is a great thing for the university, yada, yada, yada. 4, itemized receipt of conference costs. If you have not yet attended, please include any costs you may have paid for, okay? So people that are you usually, even if you know you're going to a conference, right? And you usually pay for the conference ahead of time. 2, you probably maybe already paid for a flight, even if you don't, right? Like pay for a flight. Hotel, you can at least give me an idea of what the hotel may cost. It's not gonna be an itemized receipt, right? But does that make sense? Just itemized list of what you're paying for and kind of, this is a real thing. 4, 5, proof of conference. So this is once again, a schedule at a glance, a thank you for attending. Maybe you're presenting and they sent you an email saying, we are so excited for you to present. Include it, okay? It just once again proves to us that this conference is real, okay? 6, a presentation abstract. If you are not presenting, just say, hi, I'm not presenting, but I'm attending for this business reason, okay? And then 7, if you are not a US citizen, once again, you have to include the NRA or 001, NRA 02, or I-551 form. Let me say this, because these are the most emails I get. If you are going to an in-person conference, 1, the in-person conference needs to be between January and June 15th. Okay? The reason for this is that the financial fiscal year ends July 1. So we cannot use funds for this fiscal year for any conference that kind of goes beyond that. Does that make sense? All right, 2, if you are planning on attending a conference and you have not yet done it, so obviously itemized receipts and things like that are hard to have if you haven't gone, okay? If you basically show in your application and you fill this out with like a good effort, right? And you show in your application, hey, this conference is real, I'm going, I'm presenting, or I'm gonna go and represent UNCG, how it's gonna work is that the GSA is gonna transfer the funds. This is actually how it works for everyone. GSA is gonna transfer the funds to your department. All right? So if you know who your department's finance officer is, that's someone that usually processes these things. They probably send you emails from time to time. They are gonna be the one that actually accepts your TRV1 form and your receipts after you travel, okay? GSA, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take the funds, so $500, I'm in the kinesiology department, so I'm gonna use them as an example. Say I have 10 students from the kinesiology department that all get accepted for travel. 10 students, okay? Well, not me, GSA is going to transfer $5,000 to the kin department. The kin department's finance officer is Carol Booth. Shout out to Carol. All right. And she is going to process all of the TRV1s for those 10 students. Does that make sense? So she's actually going to be the one that processes the reimbursements. This is because, if you can't tell, we stopped working at the end of April. Okay. And I'm not asking the new e-board to also work, right? So if you guys are traveling in June and then you want to get a reimbursement, I can't process it for you. So luckily the department people still process things at that point in time. Does that make sense, everyone? Awesome. Any questions so far?
Yeah, if Marie wants to ask her question. Marie, are you with us?
Yes. Let's say I attended 2 virtual conferences and like one of them was 150, the other one was 250. So it's not close to 500, but like, let's say 400 in total. So can I apply for both?
Yes. Okay. So if they're both virtual, then you can submit one application with both in there. I'd probably submit one of each form or 2 of each form, right? So for example, for the virtual, you have to do this student reimbursement form. I'd probably submit 2 of those because it's 2 separate conferences, or actually for the student reimbursement form, just write them on 2 separate lines of where you went and tell me why. Does that make sense? And we can process that. But you can only do 1 virtual PDF application or 1 in-person PDF application. Does that make sense? So I don't want 2 of each. I also don't want 1 of each. I just want 1 or 1, okay? The same thing is true for in-person conferences. If you're going to more than 1 in-person conference, shout out to you, really great professional development. But also, you will need to fill out 2 TRV1 forms within that. You will then need to contact me or write it in there, as well as contact your department finance officer, because you are only going to be given $500. So if you want to divide that up between 2 conferences, that's awesome. Make sure your department finance officer knows that, so that you're not getting more than $500. Does that make sense? Everyone understand that? Okay.
Sorry, can I just, like you said, if one of them is in person and one of them is online, so we cannot combine them in one application?
No, you cannot combine them, and it's because they're 2 separate processing I process those things two completely separate, different ways. And I can't splice the $500 into like, oh, I'm gonna process it this one way and then I'm gonna process this the other way. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense.
Very good to know. Thank you so much.
May I have one more question?
Yes.
So it's a question I got from somebody. If a graduate student is graduating this May and they have a conference to attend a couple of days after graduation, can they still apply or not?
Yes, I would assume so. They're still graduate students. They still paid. They paid for this financial year. So, right, so like our funding comes from you guys. Like graduate students pay it in their dues somewhere in there. We get some funding, I think, from the university, but it's mostly dues, okay? We are trying to give that money back to graduate students, all right? So that graduate student has paid their dues. Just because they graduate May 5th doesn't mean they didn't pay their dues, back in January. So
They
yes,
would want to make sure all the paperwork's done before graduation.
You graduated.
It's not for me.
all right. So finally, the research capstone fund, all right? It's up to $300 to spend on whatever you need to complete your research. I just said not your advisors, just because, make sure your advisor's not trying to utilize the funds that should be for you, all right? Some departments will pick up additional funding, okay? So if you are someone, I'm gonna use biology as an example because they always do a really good job of this, okay? Say you're someone in the biology department and you say, hey, I have something I really need and it's $500, all right? We will cover $300. I will send an email to you and your advisor, or ask your advisor and say, hey, can you guys pick up the extra $200? If they say yes, then we can fund that. If they say no, sadly, we can't fund that, or unless you're gonna pick up that, which maybe you will, all right? But does that make sense? We are contributing $300. If someone else will pick up the additional amount, that's great. Students can go in together. This is a trick, all right? You guys need to know it. If you have a friend and you're in the same lab and your lab really needs something, well, bam, if you guys go in together under one application, you just write multiple names, that's $600. If you go with 3 people, that's $900. All right? You can tag team it, get more money. It's only one application, so you don't need to all fill out multiple applications. Just one application. I'd say, hi, Lexi and I need something. All right, and we fill out one application together saying what we need. This is not a reimbursement, meaning this is not a reimbursement to you personally. That's what I write down, all right? This is not a reimbursement to you personally. So if you pay for something, I can't get you your money back, all right? Essentially what this is you're making a purchase request. So you're saying, hey, my department, my lab needs this. I mean GSA, then transfers the funds to your department, and your department purchases that item for you. Okay, does that make sense? Perfect. This item will belong to your lab and department, not you. All right, that's a big one, okay? The other big thing here is that we are restricted by what accounts payable would pay. So if any of you have access to a P card or know what a P card is, essentially we are restricted by those same things. Meaning we can't do things like cash forwards or gift cards or pay for anything like that. So we can't pay for like participant rewards. All right, that's what some people ask for. All right, we also can't pay for furniture. There's a list of that on the application. Like I created a link that's like if you click on it, you can see what you can ask for and what you can't ask for. All right, what you need for this, you need to highlight how the item or service will provide benefit more than just to you, right? So benefits Uncg. You also will need a signed letter of support from your advisor, an upload cost. If you can include a link to how to purchase it, that'll require me to have less email communication with you, which will probably help because I'll already plug it. All right. So if you can provide a link or include like, hey, I talked to this person in this distribution center and this is how to get it, that'll help me that I don't have to come back and ask you. Okay. How do you apply? Info ready. All right. There are videos on this. There are separate applications for the RCF, PDF virtual, PDF in person. Okay. There are different requirements for each. So make sure to apply for the right application. And like I said, there's videos on this. Also, I'm on my email a lot. So I'll talk to you. All right, perfect.
You have one question.
Oh, man,
All
thought
right.
I was time.
Hillary, if you want to ask a question.
Hi, I was wondering about expendable items like enzymes that might maybe be used by just a few labs, might not be around for like UNCG for a long time, but would help out with research. And I'm asking this because I've gotten this question from my department.
Should be fine. I'd have to double check. I would ask my higher ups because I don't want to give you the wrong information. But I think that should be fine because you have a UNCG benefit, right? And it still technically belongs to UNCG because UNCG is conducting that research.
Okay, even if it's a consumable.
Even if it's consumable, it's okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Anybody in person got a question for Claire? She runs off, gotta be on time. So yeah, my lab last year went in on a really expensive pipette. All three of us went in on it, got it for our lab, and we use it all the time. So I highly recommend going in together and getting something more expensive if you're able to do that. All right, we are almost there. So today is March 3rd, is our assembly meeting. All the candidate presentations will be going today, and then the voting is going to open at 6 p.m. We will put the voting QR code up on the screen. If you feel like you've gotten enough information from the candidates that you are ready to make your vote, then you can go ahead and do that directly today. Otherwise, Alex is going to be sending out an email at 6 p.m. today with all of the voting information. So if you're following us on Spartan Connect, you will also get that email, and you can do it anytime in the next 2 weeks. But senators, this is something really big that you need to share with your departments, okay? So if you get this email from Alex, please forward that to all of your departments. We want as many votes as possible. So the voting period will be from today until the 17th, again at 6 p.m., that direct time that will be cut off. The voting is in Spartan Connect like it always is if you've been here for a couple of years. On March 21st, we will announce the new executive board. That will be through email on Spartan Connect and also on our website. So if you follow us on either one of those places. And then on April 7th, the new e-board and current e-board will be here together. And that's kind of our transition meeting. Like I said, they'll be kind of taking over 50% at that point. So you'll be able to see them up here and get to ask them more questions. But really try to get your questions out today so you can make an informed decision. All right, that brings us to our candidate introductions. We are going to start with our president candidates, and I'm just going to go in order that they were listed on the information that was sent out. So if you're following along, if you want to pull up the bios or purpose statements, you can. So the first one going is our current student relations chair, Alexander.
Oh, there's 2 names.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexander. I'm this gremlin up here typing away minutes for this past year. So I don't get a lot of face time with senators or anyone else, but there's a lot I do outside of GSA. I've been fortunate to be here for about 3 years as a student, a senator, and a helper to Lexi and Nagla, following them wherever they go. So I really enjoy that part of the job. Some of the things that I do outside for you all is I sit in the faculty senate as a non-voting member. I don't know if anyone's attended faculty senate meetings. They are pretty dry. Yesterday's meeting was pretty terrifying. I don't know if anyone's kept up with student success because of COVID. A quarter of first-year students are failing. And so that affects us as grad students because like we're teaching them, we're the closest ones to them as peers. That's going to affect our funding, enrollment, a lot of like downstream effects. So the faculty was sort of like in a panic. The Board of Governors is doing all this work outside, changing the way Uncg system, like schools will be funded. And I'm, one of 2 graduate students with Nagla that sit on the faculty senate. So it's kind of like, hi, we're future faculty in some respects. Like, all the decisions you are making will affect us if we choose to work here, or the students we teach. So my job, kind of just on that, or just in general, as a member of GSA, is to speak for you all. So I think we do really well when you speak up. And I saw that when like, hey, maybe we should change the funding, and there was sort of this like uproar in the room. Like it felt tense, and I was just like, oh my God, they're really angry or passionate about this. And I was like, this is wonderful. Like, please let us know what you feel. So as president, I kind of want to combine that sense of like advocacy, the institutional memory that I've kind of been around for a while, the dinosaur. But I also want to like combine this human element that I think we all forget. Grad school is isolating. Like, you know, I remember this, you know, GSA, the organization, like I was saying it earlier, like open room full of pizza, lots of people hanging out. Like, I don't know if you met the president before NAGLA. But, you know, we were fortunate to have these two leaders like take us, you know, at the beginning of the pandemic, you know, switch on a dime. Now most of this is virtual. Thank you all virtual attendees for being here. But like, you know, grad school's tough. We've got friends, family, frustrations. You know, how do we support you? You know, we're here to give you funding, but like, how are you doing? And so NAGLA, I think all the permanent health tips have been like kind of a big thing of this platform. It's like, ask your students, you know, how are they? Ask your grad students, how are you? You know, what do you need? Like, how can we support you? Like, you know, is it housing? Is it, are you raising a family? Like, you know, we're dealing with a lot, and then all of a sudden our advisor's like, where's that paper? You know, so we're dealing with a lot, and I want to be the president that speaks for you. So I want to work with the Senate to like take your voices to the faculty senate, to the administration, to SGA, like we work with them. I want to build on those community partners. So I have a vision based on my experience. I don't want to serve you all, so vote, just vote.
And we'll do all of the candidate questions at the end. So if you have any questions for Alexander, please just keep them. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing so that we can get our next candidate up on the screen.
Let me know whenever you're ready.
Everyone can see you already? Go ahead.
So hi, everybody. My name is Irtiana Besson. Sorry I'm not able to be there in person. I'm actually co-teaching a class that started at 5:30. However, I wanted to be here live to be able to introduce myself and kind of tell you why I'm running for president. So a little bit about me before I go into, I guess, like more campaign details. So my name is, once again, Irti, and I'm in the Human Development and Family Studies program at Uncg. I feel like I'm at a point where I really want to essentially live by my motto, which is be the change you want to see. I've been a GSA center for 2 years. And essentially the reason I'm running is because I've noticed a lot of inequities between departments and things of that nature, even when it comes to graduate students, by essentially getting to know other people's and other programs through classes. And even like, I remember when I first came here in 2019, how they had the graduate student social in the beginning. And that's where I met one of my like best friends at Uncg. So essentially like starting to be a part of that process, but then also making sure like getting more to in my campaign, assessing the climate of where we are currently, because I feel like with over the past 3 years, we went from, I started pre-COVID, then mid-April it was COVID, now we're in kind of this limbo period. So helping to like be a part of that transition. And I've also been in contact with GSA this semester essentially about how we can assess this through like maybe a committee or like seeing like in a survey, like what graduate students really want in like 3 realms. So kind of like going back to the mission of GSA, like employment, professional development, and school life balance. So like really trying to hit home on those 3 areas to essentially get students the services they need, but and also like different ways, like how can we help, but also how can we refer you to different resources to like get the things that you need on like a student level, but then like also the faculty level. So like really taking in the context of the university and what different students may be facing in order to like essentially see those changes that we all want to see. So essentially, I'm gonna let y'all ask me questions instead of like rambling on, but like vote for me and actively be a part of the change you want to see. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are you able to stay after online for a little while, or you got to cut off and go to class?
No, I can be online.
Okay, awesome. Then we will keep you on up here so anyone can come up and ask you questions after. Thank you so much. That was our 2 president candidates. We only have one very lucky vice president candidate that is going to be sharing with us. And this is a man, that's as long as you're right around here. They don't worry.
So, yeah, there's the mic. Yeah.
Hi, well, thanks for having me. My name is Amanda Weller. I don't know if you've had a chance to read over my bio a little bit, but I'll just introduce myself. I am a second-year PhD student in the biology department as an environmental health sciences major, and I study subterranean small mammal evolution. But that's not where I started. I actually am a non-traditional student during my undergrad. I went to school and then took a break and then went back later after working in the people with disabilities field and the mental health field. So I have a little bit of real world experience, and then going back, realizing that there's differences between being in school and being a working professional. So I'm really passionate about advocacy, inclusion, diversity, and just making sure that all voices are heard. So as a GSA e-board member, I will try to make all that happen. So just making things accessible to everyone. Some of my background, this is just a little bit of getting to know me still, but I worked for the Mental Health Board of Northwest Ohio as an AmeriCorps Vista. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that program. It's a great program, but I was actually under this statewide program called the Ohio Association of Behavioral Health, but like they spent a lot of time training me to be a good leader. I went through multiple trainings and I took it's a sort of like a placement test trying to hone in on like my leadership skills, and they gave me really good advice to be an effective leader for the way that I am. And I feel like that sort of training has prepared me to be a good candidate for you guys. So I think that's it. Yeah.
Aww. Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, with the previous programming experience that she has, I'm very excited to pass on all the stuff that we've been doing. Which I can say because she's the only one running, so. Okay, our next treasurer candidates, we have two, Brooks and Krista. Krista is here with us today, but Brooks is out of town and was not able to make it. So I'm gonna play a quick video from him so that you can hear his introduction.
Yeah.
My name is Brooke Shuttleworth, and I'm a second-year doctoral student in the Public Health Education program within the School of Health and Human Sciences at Uncg. I earned my undergraduate degree from the University of Kansas in Applied Behavior Analysis and my master's in Public Health degree from the University of Kansas Med Center in 2020. My current projects at Uncg support health and wellness, mental health, and health-seeking behaviors in collegiate student athletes and elite-level athletes alike. I'm also a GSA senator for the School of HHS, a former instructor of record for personal health, a member of the Uncg Athletics Pet Band, and a member of the Alpha Delta Pi Honor Society. Running for the treasurer position within GSA is a privilege, and I bring multiple experiences to the position that will enable future successes within our organization. These experiences involve budgetary management for student housing organizations and event planning that coincide with it. My other leadership experiences involve being a member of leadership through the University of Kansas Marching Jayhawks and an outreach coordinator for community service activities for my former graduate student association at the University of Kansas Medical Center. These opportunities granted me instrumental experiences in working within leadership committees and certain student bodies at large. I aim to build upon these past positions and act on the behalf of all grad students at UNCG through the Graduate Student Association as a member of the exec board through the treasurer position. GSA is the unifying body of grad students, and it enables us to have a collective voice, express our concerns, and act on our own behalf. Within higher academia, our well-being is constantly subjected to a turbulent environment where critical aspects of what we require to thrive and succeed are jeopardized. We require transparency within leadership decisions at UNCG, and we require a clear path to acquiring what we need to succeed within our individual programs. The treasurer bears a responsibility of tracking and monitoring resources and acting as a guide for grad students. I aim to be a firm and grounded resource for understanding these processes and ensuring that all grad students have the opportunities that we are granted. This will involve ensuring equitable distribution and further streamlining the processes involved with acquiring these resources that we are given. Along with budgetary management, this position requires advocacy, and I strive to act as an exemplar for all facets of this position and being on the exec board. I have been researching this position extensively over the past 2 semesters during my regular attendance of GSA functions and consulting with the current treasurer on all aspects of being on the executive board. It has been a privilege to be a senator under the current administration, and I aim to build upon their example. And I believe my past leadership experiences will serve as a firm foundation for future success within GSA. Thank you.
Okay, our next up we have Krista, and that's our last treasurer candidate. Hi, everyone. So my name is Krista Mader. I'm a 3rd-year doctoral student in the kinesiology department. My concentration is in applied neuromechanics. So sounds brainy, but it's not. So I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I have 7 siblings, so mediation is huge, and I'm a very loud person, according to my boyfriend and most of my family. So let's see here. I did my bachelor's in exercise science and pre-physical therapy back home at Baldwin Wallace University. I did my master's in ex-phys at West Virginia University, and now I am here. So I really liked the UNCG motto of being a student-centered environment. That's really important to me. And let's see, what else? I have been a TA and an RA for many years now. And I have also taught different courses here, like the biomechanics course and things like that. I have been vice president of the Exercise Science and Pre-Physical Therapy Club. I've been a student ambassador. I'm part of the RISE network here on campus. It is a organization that promotes STEM education, not just on campus, but in the community as well. We really do have had a really big focus on DEI. And we've had a lot of different events, a lot of different speakers coming in, and I've been like the logistics behind that. I've helped with the budgeting. We've done state funding. Well, we've had state funding, like local donations and things like that. I've been in charge of organizing. There's STEM kits for this like community engagement project that we were doing. So I was in charge of trying to find ones that were really interactive for like elementary school students, budgeting for that, trying to figure out how many students and things like that. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, I am huge on making sure that we ensure equality and equity in all that we do. And so that's one of the things I really want to ensure if I become treasurer, because in the past, the GSA funding has been underutilized. And so one of the things that I thought of was not only just bringing transparency about what the spending has been and like all the different departments, but let's see, what else? And then, oh my God, what was my train of thought? I can't think today. I've been up since 5:30. But anyways, that's one of the biggest things, and potentially like not just having a certain deadline, but also if it's underutilized for the funding, having a rolling portion as well. So thank you, everyone. Hey, thank you, treasurer candidates. Now we have 2 student relations chair candidates, and we will welcome Ashley to the stand first.
Hi, my name is Ashley Loper Nowak, and I am a 5th-year PhD candidate over in the history department. My research focuses on Vietnamese refugees who resettled to North Carolina after the Vietnam War. In my free time, I enjoy baking, hiking, and I have a cat and dog I just love to hang out with and dinner. I am also the graduate assistant over at the Center for New North Carolinians, the CNNC, where my main responsibility there is to manage the fellows program. And so I know some of the graduate students here are actually part of the fellows program as well. But the fellows are a group of mainly faculty, practitioners, graduate students, like I said, and we meet monthly to discuss different issues and topics related to immigrants and refugees within the Greensboro area. And so my main responsibilities there are to help set the agenda, take the minutes, record the meetings, send out the Zoom links, anything involved with meetings. I'm also responsible, or I help manage the social media interns we have. And so those are undergraduates here at UNCG. We meet weekly, they pitch their ideas, we talk about different ideas to post for the week. So they've taught me a lot about the social media world. I also help manage the website at the CNNC, do updates, post stories, whatever it might be. So I've learned quite a lot about website management and just working in WordPress more generally. The thing I think is most valuable that I've learned while working with the fellows for the fellows program is how to kind of navigate and facilitate those relationships within and among the fellows who come from very diverse backgrounds and life experiences. And so I think I can bring that to the GSA, where we are a group of students who come from a variety of departments and disciplines and backgrounds. So I think that is something of value I can bring to the GSA. So thank you for your time, and I hope you consider me for the student relations chair position.
Thank you, Ashley. For our last but not least candidate, we have Catherine that is going to give our last introduction. And then we have one more thing on the agenda, and then afterwards we'll be able to do questions to the candidates. Thanks, Sam.
I brought notes because I get really nervous sometimes, especially when it's already 6 o'clock on the day after I gave my proposal. So it's a little tight, but anyway. So my name is Catherine, and I am a third-year PhD student, and I'm in the biology department. I'm an environmental health science PhD student over there. And I'm really excited about running for this position because I think I have a lot of skill sets that I've kind of created and made over the years that can help me come into this position with some experience. So before I was at UNCG, I worked at the Smithsonian, and there I created and ran a Twitter account for the lab I was working in. And so that gave me like 2 years of experience with Twitter. When I started there, I was like, how the heck do I use this? And then by the end of it, I was posting a couple of times a week, things like that. And then when I came to UNCG, my first year, I was the social media coordinator for the Spartans for Science and Policy group, which was a new club at the time in the biology department. And then I did that for a year. And then in my second year, I was a senator. So I was over here, well, it was all on Zoom, but I was over here kind of interacting with GSA. And I really liked that process of being involved in GSA and in the broader community of grad students, not just within a single department. And then kind of during that, I learned, about taking minutes during meetings, because I would send out all those emails afterwards to our department about what we talked about. So that was kind of an experience for me to learn that. And then now during my third year, just last semester, I started helping the biology department. I became like the website kind of creator. And so I've been revamping the biology website. I'm still working on that now, and we'll continue to work on that. So this would really like mesh nicely with that set of skills I've been learning. And then I also, starting this semester, have been the social media person for the biology department as well. So if you're seeing more posts on our biology pages, it's me. So anyway, it's a lot of learning, and I would be excited to kind of bring all those skills into this position and work with the graduate students as a whole and get to meet some really cool graduate students that aren't just biology students, but across different departments as well. And another thing that I am really invested in that I did as a senator and I've continued to do is really advocate for the students within the biology department. So even just being able to point them to the right direction of who to talk to if they have questions or concerns, or in some cases also bringing those issues that they have up to the right people for them if they're not comfortable doing it. And so I'd really like to expand on that and be able to do that at a university level as the student relations chairperson. So that is a little bit about me, and I'm really excited to be here. So yes, I hope you all vote whoever you vote for, and thank you for your time.
Catherine, and all of the candidates that gave an introduction today. That means a lot that you were all able to be here. Because we started late, we're running a little bit over. If you have to leave, it is 6 o'clock, we understand, but I need all of our senators, if you can stay, please stay. So per our constitution, all the candidates running for the executive board have either had to be a GSA senator in the past, or they have to have significant student government experience. All of the executive board has unanimously approved all of the candidates that needed to, so now we need your approval. And you can read this in our entire constitution if you want. I put the little snippet up there. So we just need a 2/3 vote of the senators that are present today, and we'll make sure online you are very much a part of this. So the only two people that haven't been a GSA senator in the past is Amanda and Krista. So we just need to vote for them, and you heard their leadership experience in the past. So hopefully you feel like you can make that vote now. So please, senators only. If you are not a senator, please do not take this poll. This is just a really quick Google form. It has 2 questions on it. You just hit yes, no, or abstain for all of them. It is going to collect your email because we want to make sure that these are senators voting. So please, again, do not vote if you are not a senator. So we'll just leave this up for a little bit. As soon as you scan that QR code, you'll have to log in. You can select your responses for both of those candidates, and then we will be done. Yes, question?
Yeah, I was just looking on the website and my department isn't represented on the website, but I'm pretty sure, like, should I vote studio art?
Is that under just art or applied arts and sciences?
I don't know if it'd be under applied. Last year it was studio art. It's listed as studio art.
You might not have been listed separately when we contacted graduate program directors, so you might be grouped in with just art.
Okay, with the applies
Yeah.
arts. Okay, so I should.
Are you the senator for the department?
Yeah.
Okay.
Vote.
Yes, no, now, senator, please vote.
Okay.
Question?
I did. Yeah.
QR code is not working.
Okay, can you use the link, go.uncg.edu Senate vote? Okay, it's working for some people. You do have to be logged in through your Uncg email. So if you're logged into a different account, you would have to log out and do that. This will be open again for a little while here. So as long as you can plug it into your computer.
Thank you for catching that, Ash.
Yeah.
I've seen, yeah.
The responses are coming in. I'm seeing them. So far, we are in 100% approval. So I'm going to leave that up for a couple minutes. Those of you that are here in person and people online, now we can start asking questions to our candidates if we have any questions. Our next screen is going to be the voting link. So again, make sure you collect all the information that you need to make an informed decision on who you want to vote for to be your leaders next year. So I'm going to leave this up. In a second, we'll put all of the online people up here too, so they'll be able to ask questions. But otherwise, feel free to unmute yourself. And anyone in person, if you have a question for a candidate.
So hi, quick introduction in case people don't know who I am. I'm Shira, and I'm a JSN representative. I'm also an SGA senator representing grad students in the SGA. My biggest question for all the candidates is there's a lot of stuff that graduate students are not aware of that happens on like the whole of UNCG campus that involves all students, regardless if they're undergrad or graduate student. And I've been finding in my position this year that there's sometimes a lot of not communicating of what's happening in the SGA side and of the general campus to graduate students. And I guess my main question to the candidates is, do you guys aim to try and fix that in any way? Because there are a lot of like big issues that have been happening on campus this semester particularly that I think a lot of graduate students are just not aware of at all, that could really impact a lot of graduate students. So I just want to get feedback, just, I guess, responses from you guys to see what you guys would do in order to try and remedy that issue.
I have a comment real quick. Who is the information coming from? Like, who is telling like the SGA and the different people, like who's sending out the information to begin with?
It's more of just being more tuned in to like either activities happening on campus, student climate on campus. Like if there are, you know, like if something dramatic happens on campus and then the SGA gets involved and the SGA has to like make whatever legislation on it. I feel like a lot of times the graduate student body as a result kind of just doesn't get told like this is stuff that's happening on campus that you might be concerned with and might want to be involved with. And I think that message sometimes doesn't get to them.
So I know in the kin department, we have a weekly blast. So any campus information goes on there as well, like different campus events. So I'm not entirely sure what events you're referring to that the students don't know. But I think it's definitely important for all students, regardless of if they're undergrad or graduate, to be informed of everything that's happening on campus. So I think that would just have to be like, we would have to start talking to the upper level as the starting point.
Or I don't know if you can hear me. This is Erti on Zoom, but I also, my apartment does something similar, and it would actually be really cool if GSA would adopt it with me president or not. Essentially having like this newsletter, which is a Google Doc that's shared with us at all times, where they update it on a monthly or even if it was like a weekly basis, essentially like it's what's going on in the department, like news we might want to know, like professional development opportunities, and things like that. I feel like that would be a way, but then also kind of having like whoever like the student relations or social media person would like having a link tree with a form to submit anything that's kind of going on. So we're made aware right away and we're essentially able to kind of like put that information out there, especially if it like follows our bylaws, our mission, and like what we're supposed to do.
Awesome. I'm going to pause everybody really quick. Last call. If you have not scanned this QR code, we are now moving on. Candidates, would you mind coming standing in the front and we'll make sure that you are showing as well. Okay, so the voting is live. If you want to vote right away, go ahead. Otherwise, you can stick around if you have questions for the candidates. If you don't, thank you so much for coming to our March meeting. We really appreciate you all being here. I just want to be respectful of everyone's time. And the candidates were only supposed to be here till 6:10, so I hope that you're all okay staying for a little bit longer. All right. The voting link is up. Alex is going to send out the email here in a second, so you can wait for that if you'd like to. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There we go. All right, so we can see everybody. And now, did anyone else want to address Shira's question?
I was gonna add something. Oh, sorry.
As long as you're in the vicinity of the microphone, we'll be able to pick you up.
I was gonna say, actually, basically the same thing that Erti said as well, where like we can do that in the like student relations person. I think like once we find a way to get the information that you're referring to, like whether that's via a form or something like that, I think that's something that we don't necessarily have to discuss at every meeting, but we could add to like the minutes that we send out to our senators. Like at the end, it could be like in the news or happening on campus or something like that. So that at least all of our senators are informed, and then they can, you know, or all the people that are on Spartan Connect are informed, and then they can go on and like distribute that throughout their department. So that's just one, you know, additional way we could think to, you know, include those types of things.
stop it. Yeah, no, that's a great question, and it's also a good question for like the current board, like we're still working, so we would love that, and like, you know, we see the assembly as kind of the receptacle, like what's going on in your department. And so like, you know, I live way out at GSA and we're creatures all on our own, but you know, we still want to be a part of main campus, and so it's like, we kind of depend on the Senate to say like, this is important, this is going on our campus, like, you know, here's funding, here's the library petition, like, you know, if I'm just doing kind of research, you know, narrow tunnel vision, like, I don't know what's going on in the history department. I don't know what's going on with the nursing. Like, you know, there's a lot of things to celebrate. And it's like, you know, we depend on the Senate to do that as well.
Yes, any, okay.
So we were actually just talking about this as of Monday with the CNC Advisory Council. And I think part of the problem is just the amount of emails we get might miss that information. And so one of the solutions we actually were talking about was something like the WGS program sends out a weekly newsletter where they include all announcements that they might have gotten through in one email. And I know I read that email every time it comes through because I know it's all the information instead of just deleting it. Another solution we had talked about this week was what was called silent announcements. And so that's like someone had said, putting the announcements at the end of the agenda or at the end of the minutes, something you can read through on your own time, but you're not getting bombarded with emails. So yeah, that's maybe one way to accommodate that.
Thank you.
We're willing to collaborate with SBA.
Yeah.
I want to share something, and I'm so sorry, this is our time. Was it way re-elected? No.
Go.
By Alex.
Are you re-elected? No.
I am on this campus for 4 years now. Resource-wise, you will never get the hang of everything. Do the best. And what is interesting about you guys, that you are from different departments and you have different connections. When you put the different resources in one pool, which is a newsletter, or as Ashley said, whatever I do, this would be great. Don't beat yourself up. GSA is an amazing place for you to serve, but you will never, Shira, get everything. I am dreaming of one-stop shop. Never, ever happening in UNCG. But the more resources you bring, guys, the more you'll be grateful. Your strategy of getting into the important decision-making places, policies. There are committees that will ask GSA for representation. What you can do, guys, that make sure that you have graduate students represented on those committees, but not only going there like myself and Alex, sitting on the faculty senate. We have to write notes and share it in a Google document. And Lexi is saying, next meeting, you are guys sharing the new policy updates with us. This is a great mechanism just to make sure that you are represented in different committees, campus-wise, or even outside campus, SGA, like you, Shira, but have the mechanism of share this somewhere. Alex is always talking about institutional memory. Write what you did in the graduate council. You move the policy, you move the motion, and try to share it with us all, or at least with yourselves, okay? It will be good, Wallah. I swear God, it will be good.
If anybody has questions, kind of target them more towards a specific position. We don't have time for everyone to go through and answer. So if you have a specific question for a specific position, you can go ahead and ask that now. Anybody in person or feeling good? Anybody online? We can see you and hear you. So if you would like to add something, feel free. All right, candidates, I guess you gave a good enough introduction. Everybody feels pretty confident with that. I'm going to throw the voting screen back up here and then we'll quit our recording. So if you want to stay in the room and vote, or if you want to stay online and vote, we'll be staying on here for a little bit. All right, thank you all so much for coming and for your introductions. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you so much. You did all the good job.